Hi, and welcome to the second episode of how to use RecordRefs to create a search app. Hey, I'm Eric, and this is the second installment. So if you haven't seen the first one, I suggest go look at that one because we're building on top of what we built in the last video. So without further ado, we're building a search app using RecordRefs so we can search anything that we want to inside Business Central. Searching data, that is. So let's get right into it. Here is my Business Central, and this is the search function that we started the last time. Very simple. We're right now only searching primary key values, and very simple one field primary key values. So we can search for our customer number or a vendor number, perhaps an item number, stuff like that. And we did sort of a hack last time, and this is the line number 26. Result.data caption equal format recordref dot. So when you do a format on a recordref, you get a comma separated list of all the field values. So I did a simply dot replace the commas with spaces, and then copy string this to fit the data caption field. And when we run this, it looks kind of like this. We do a search and I type something, and when we get all the fields. So we get this the search field, the secret search field that nobody's using. We get different spaces depending on how many empty fields there happen to be in a spot. So I think we can do better, and let's do that. So if we get rid of this for a second, go away. I have a lot of pages open here. Let's replace this one. So instead of this one, we want a data caption method, a function for that. So let's create a data caption method. It should of course get the ref as input, and it should output a text. So basically we can take this one, and instead of this thing, we're going to call our data caption caption function with the ref. And what are the properties of a random record in Business Central? Well, it's fields are numbered, and in most cases, the lower the number of the field is, the more important is the field. So we can certainly approach this from a field numbering perspective. I guess when we're getting search results, we also need the primary key, and there are some tables where the primary keys fields are not the first. Are not the first fields. If you go take a look at the job task or job planning line tables, where field number 1000 is part of the primary key. So we certainly need to look at the fields, and for that we need some way to loop through the fields. So let's first loop through the primary key fields. And we can do this by taking an int and say for I is equal 1 to ref dot, and then we need to create the primary key. So key index 1, because that's the primary key. And one thing I didn't do in the first video on purpose was dotting functions together. So up here I had key ref equal ref dot key index, and then I say fref field ref is equal to the key ref dot field index, and then I do fref dot set range, just to kind of explain the data types that are in between here. So in this episode we're gonna ramp it up a bit. So now I can just say that the output of the key index is of course a key. So now we can get the fields count in the key. So for I equal 1 to ref.keyindex1.fieldCount do begin. So now we're counting from the first, the second, the third, the fourth field of the primary key. So in order to get that field, we need a field ref variable. So in this case, you can get fields out of a ref in two ways. You can either do it by doing field, but this one will just count 1, 2, 3, 4, the four fields in the primary key. And if they happen to be field number 1, 2, 3, and 4, this would work. But if it's like field 1, 10, 25, and 2 in that order, then this would break horrible. So we have to use the field index function. So that will get so when I is 1, that will get the first field, so the field with the lowest field number. When I is 2, that will get you the field with the second lowest number, and so on. And then we can take a look at the type of the field, because we might want to do stuff differently depending on what type it is. Perhaps actually not in the primary key. In the primary key, that we want everything. So let's wait with that for a second. We certainly need at some point this function needs to return something. So exit result, and what should result be? Result should probably be a text variable, because that's what we are returning. So let's add that. And we need to space it apart. So every time we want to add something to result, we need to make sure that if result is different from something, that there's already something in it, then let's add to result a space plus format of the ref of the field ref dot value, else result plus equal format of the field ref dot value. So value is I need to make sure that it's up there. Value is it returns any type. So depending on the type of the field, it will return a text or int or date or whatever it is. So if you ever do something with value, you either have to put it inside a case of the field type, or make sure that you put it into a function that will take a joker, any value. So if we run this function now, let's just run it really quickly. Then we can, let's see what we get. My money is that we're getting, my money is on, I probably need to log in, is that we get a couple of lines with the number 10,000. But I might be wrong. I was right. So that's perhaps not very useful. So we need some more information. So that's the amount of information we can get out of the primary key. So it's clearly that we need to look at the rest of the field. So for I equal 1 to ref dot field count. So we'll basically do the same thing that we just did on the, and we probably need to add a do here, so to make the syntax happy. And an I, so many typos in one line. It's late night here in British Columbia. We need to do the same thing, but as soon as we start thinking about this, it's clearly that something is wrong, because we would get the primary key fields again. So we don't want it. If we do this, you can see that, and then we'll just I can illustrate this. So now we're doing the exact same thing here. Cheers. So now we are getting the 10,000 2 times, and we don't want that. So what we need to do is that we need to create something that will make sure that fields that we have already used are not going to be reused. And Business Central has a wonderful data type called a dictionary. So we could actually create a dictionary and it's field numbers. So dictionary is kind of a lookup table. So the first parameter is the key. The second parameter is the data type, and the data type can only be fairly primitive data type. So you cannot have a record here. That I can see a lot of scenarios where that will be ultra cool, but so far we cannot do that. So if we create a dictionary, then we can say here that our used fields, we want to add the field ref dot number and field ref dot name. So now we're just saying, okay, we have used this field and we have used this field. So what we can do down here is saying that if not used fields, let's see, make sure you guys can see what I'm typing, contains the field number, and this has to be numbers. This cannot be index, because same discussion as before. If this field number has not been used, then we can add it. And we probably need to put an end somewhere. So now, if my predictions are correct, we do not get the, so this is the last one, 10,000, 10,000. Let's do this again. And I'll do, and now the 10,000 are gone. The next thing we see is that we get the name, and then we get the uppercase name. And this is because there's a field called the search field, a kind of obsolete field because it's not needed anymore. It was needed 30 years ago to make searching easier in Navision. Not really needed anymore, but it's still there. So we really, this is just redundant and looks ugly. So let's get rid of that also. And now that we are getting used to using dictionaries, let's go and say used field types, because let's think about it. The only fields, so we want any field in the primary key, and then we want to add new information. So we don't want to re-add the primary key fields, and perhaps let's right now have the idea of we don't need to add, if we already have added a code field, then there's no reason to add another code field. If we already added a date field, let's say that we wanted to search for sales invoices. So the first date field that will show up is probably posting date and or document date, and that's kind of enough to give you an idea from a captions perspective. So we don't need 4 dates. So what we could do is use the exact same pattern here. We need to do it slightly different, because if the primary key has 4, we need to add a little off. There we go. If the primary key has more than one field of the same type, we will need to make sure that we don't already told the primary key routine that we use that field type. So it's not use field types contains key format.fref.type. Then let's add this field type to the used field types, add and format field ref.type, and we'll also just put that in as the value. Boom. So I keep typing Fred. If somebody out there is called Fred, this is a salute to you, but for some reason my keyboards insist on typing, and we need a format around that one also to be complete. There we go. And I'm missing a parenthesis there, and now I have one too many there, and now it looks good. So but there's one field type that we want as much as possible, and that's text, because the more text fields the better. So let's actually go down here and then say case field ref dot type of, and it would have been logical to do this, so the dictionary of field type comma text, but that's not allowed. Again, so it's only very primitive types that you can put in a dictionary, which is sad. If somebody from Microsoft is watching, that would be awesome, both for the index and for the value. But hey, one can always wish. So if field type is text, then we want to do this as much as possible, because we love text fields. We want as many text fields in our caption as possible. If field type is not text, then let's do the else here, and then let's say if not used field types dot contains key format field ref dot type, then let's add the field, and we just copy paste, even though copy paste code is always dangerous. Then let's add this type to the list. So if this was a date, then we'll add the date, and then we will never add dates again to our result. Let's run this. It's compiling. Everything is good. This is very exciting. So we'll search, type 10,000, and there we go. So this looks pretty good, in my opinion anyway. So we don't have the redundant data, we don't have the crazy spaces. It looks nice. On that note, I think I'm gonna end this episode, because otherwise it's going to be midnight here, and not all videos have to be that long, where we're at 19 minutes now. So I think it's a great time to stop. Remember to subscribe to the channel. It helps me a lot if you would subscribe to the channel. Leave comments under the video, or tweet me at ehogard on Twitter, or reach me on LinkedIn, or whatever your platform is. I think I'm on most of them. That makes sense from a business central perspective. Don't expect to find me on Instagram. Also, take a look at the Business Central Facebook group. Lots of very, very good conversation takes place there, and great people in there. So with that, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in episode 3, where we will look at the full text search and start looking at secondary key searches. See ya.